15th June 2020. Dear Councillors, civic leaders in Inverclyde must find the ambition to tell the story of Greenock and Port Glasgow's links to the slave trade to ensure there is a deeper understanding of the part that slavery played in the development of the area. That's a quote from Sean Kavanagh, 2016. In keeping with the current global discussion regarding racism, I think that more can be done to clearly acknowledge the part that slavery played in the warp and weft of modern-day Inverclyde. Such actions will raise awareness of racist attitudes and ideologies that persist. I am the grandson of one who worked on sugar estates, formerly plantations, all of his life. I have experience, knowledge, and insight to offer on this topic of discussion, should anyone wish to engage. Yours sincerely, Ernie Peters.
Working within our community, we began to piece together the story of our area's links to the transatlantic slave trade. This evil trade was characterised by a form of business known as the triangular trade. This involves slave ships leaving British ports like Greenock and Liverpool and then sailing on to African ports loaded with goods manufactured right here in the UK. There, the slave traders would purchase enslaved Africans by exchanging these goods, and then they would set sail for the Americas via what has now become known as the Middle Passage, selling their enslaved cargo in these new European colonies. And afterwards, the slave ship would sail back to Europe to begin the cycle again. In Greenock, the goods we started trading with were the large amounts of herring required to feed the enslaved Africans working in the plantations of the Caribbean. People from Inverclyde participated in the forced removal and transportation of 12.5 million people from their homes in Africa into a short, brutal life of cruelty and enslavement in the tobacco and sugar plantations of America and the Caribbean. Sugar brought wealth. Great fortunes were made, and this fueled the rapid growth of the area, with Greenock's population increasing nearly 8-fold over 100 years. From Greenock's first MP to our most famous son, James Watt, the wealth created directly and indirectly by our involvement in this evil trade can still be seen today in the street names and buildings we pass or work in every day. From the grand homes of the shipping merchants and industrialists to our great civic buildings. It also brought the fight for liberty into the heart of our communities, with many who led those fights coming here, often at great personal risk, to argue for freedom and justice. Our ongoing work continues to reveal more stories about this hidden history.
This is an important heritage to explore, least of all due to reparation and reconciliation within the area.
I'd like to see the story being told through a specific curriculum. We should make young people aware how Inverclyde became Inverclyde.
We have gained money from the industry, from someone else's misery. It's hard, but there's a real story to tell. Acknowledge it happened. This was the reality. Face up to it. Don't bury as that is a form of denial.
I think it's important to tell Greenock's historical story. Slavery is part of the story and that should be included.
Use the history as a learning tool. We can't eradicate history.
Being willfully blind to the fact that the ground below our feet was built on the backs of slaves is insane.